What's going on, guys? It's Hi, and in this video we are continuing with the most current iteration of my Gucci Glock build. If you've been keeping up with this thing, you'll be able to tell that there are some pretty major changes, particularly to the upper. Since my last video on this gun, I've sold my Norso Piranha EDC slide, 10-8 performance sights, Tran design slide plate, and Lantac 9 match grade barrel. The slide was something that I was kind of planning to sell from the start because, as I've said, I was thinking of going with the Norso Piranha ported slide, but after getting to use the EDC for live fire, I found that if I had to do a lot of slide manipulations, the sharp serrations of the Piranha actually cut up my thumb and index finger. I guess maybe that's why it's called the Piranha, because it bites and tears up your hand. Anyway, I figured that although I loved the way that the slide looked, I would rather have something that I didn't have to worry about if I ended up having to do a lot of slide manipulations. Then, because the slide was being sold, I might as well sell the sights that were already installed and a good fit for the next owner's Holosun 507C, which I also sold him. The tire rear plate had to go because it matched the slide. Lastly, I sold the Lantac barrel because it just made sense. That barrel worked extremely well with the Piranha slide. The combination was extremely accurate in my testing. Letting the buyer get all those parts will just work better for him because I did all the trial and error. So that means that I had to replace everything that I sold. Before I go over the new parts, I want to give a disclaimer in saying that because of YouTube policies, I will not be able to provide any links to the products mentioned in this video. If you'd like to learn more about them, do a Google search or head over to my website via the link in the description where I've done a write-up for this video. The first thing that I had to find was a new slide. For this, I decided to go with the CR Precision V2. I'm gonna be honest, times are hard right now if you're into gun building. Parts are extremely hard to find, and sometimes you just gotta get what you can find. This slide is kind of that for me. I wouldn't say that it's my first choice, but it's up there. I've been eyeing this slide for a bit, and timing was just right as it was the only one that I could find in stock, and I actually like. I love the front end of this slide. The oval front serrations are pretty unique. Then we have the top of the slide that features some side angle lightning cuts and center peepholes. At the nose, we also get an angled cut into the slide. I like this because it's a good way to show off a barrel if you went with a nice one. The cuts are just deep enough so that if you have a fluted barrel, people will be able to see it, but they'll just get a peep and it keeps them guessing. I like the subtle yet not so subtle design of this front end. I also like it because it's not really something that I've seen. If you look for aftermarket slides a lot, you'll start to notice that many of them look alike. For me, this is one of the designs that stand out, but it's not crazy over the top. However, moving to the back, we get a crosshatch pattern that makes small diamond serrations. This rear end is actually what's kept me from buying this slide sooner. Not only is it a pretty common design, but I don't think it's the best match for the front. I would much more prefer to have the front's oval serrations in the back as well, and I think that would have taken this slide to the next level, but it is what it is. You can't be too picky when buying off the rack. Now, there are a few things that I do want to mention for those interested in this slide. First, my slide arrived Cerakoted. I wanted to mention this because the product page for this slide on the CR Precision website doesn't say how the slide was to be finished. Again, mine was Cerakoted, and I personally do not like that. I have another slide that's been Cerakoted, and from experience, this coating just gets damaged too easily if you holster your gun a lot with a Kydex holster. The two materials just don't mix. Not to mention that my brand new slide arrived with quite a few scuffs, so that was a bummer. I did some buffing and that reduced the scuffs a bit, but they are still noticeable if you know where to look. I also don't like Cerakote on a slide because it adds just a slight bit of thickness, which requires some extra breaking in. That was definitely the case here as my barrel kept getting caught up in the slide, and I had to wiggle the barrel in and out a few times before it was seat properly. The next thing to know about this slide is that it is cut for the RMR footprint, but instead of doing the traditional RMR cut where there are posts up front and screw holes in the back, CR Precision went with the ZEV route and got rid of the front posts and made raised bosses where the screws mount. This will only be a problem for those who want to run an optic like the Holosun 509T, where an RMR plate is used and the optic clamps onto that plate. I can't verify if the 509T will work with the CR cut because I got rid of the one that I owned, but I know that it didn't work with the ZEV cut with the raised bosses. Just keep that in mind. Finally, I want to mention that although the slide that I purchased is a Gen 3 slide, none of my Gen 3 extractors fit in this slide. They do not seat properly and dramatically stick out. The only extractor that I've found to fit this slide is the Apex Tactical Failure Resistant Extractor. I personally do not want to run this extractor because it's given me a lot of problems in the past, but at this point I have no choice because, again, this is the only extractor that fits in this slide. After contacting C.R. Precision, it turns out that some of their slides have a burr in the extractor channel, and that's what's causing this issue. That just kind of blows my mind that there wasn't enough care to check for this type of thing prior to shipment. For those who buy this slide and run into a similar problem, contact C.R. Precision and they'll remedy the problem for you. I'm not sure if they'll exchange the slide out or just file the burr down. I would personally recommend getting a new slide because I wouldn't want a brand new slide filed down and have a portion of it not coated. Because I have the Apex extractor that fits, I'm just going to try running it for a while and see how things go. Hopefully all is well, or I'm going to have to figure something out. At the moment, I can't say that I'm too happy with the service from this company. For an expensive slide such as this, it shouldn't have arrived damaged and quality control should have been better. I personally will likely not be buying another slide from this company. Moving on, and to cap the slide off, I got the Rainier Arms slide plate. This was a pretty obvious buy because the rear plate also features that crosshatch diamond pattern, so it was a good pairing for the rear serrations. I also picked up the Rainier Arms fiber optic suppressor height sights for Glock. With the 10/8 sights that I had on my Norsa slide, and in conjunction with the SRO, the sights were just a little too short for my liking because they were barely visible. With the Rainier Arms sight, I'm getting about a lower 5th co-witness, whereas the 10/8 sights were giving me something like a lower 10th. I'm much more confident with the height of the Rainier Arms sights if I had to use them in a pinch. I also think that these sights give a lot of bang for the buck. They feel like quality upon first impressions and give more features than some of the competition in the same price range. Next, we have the Killer Innovations Velocity Non-Threaded Barrel for the Glock 19. Like the Lantac barrel I previously had, I bought this one because it's a looker. This is a fluted barrel, and like the Lantac, this is another barrel that went with a more unique fluting design than the typical straight or spiral lines. I really don't know what to compare this pattern to. My imagination says rocket ship, but it's definitely up to interpretation. In any case, I like this barrel because the fluting extends pretty far forward, and it works well with those front slide cuts that I mentioned earlier. Again, subtle and keeps you guessing. Also, check out the milling on this hood. There's actually a window cut through it. I've never seen this before. I think if they did this on both sides of the hood, it would have been that much better and would have matched the CR slide so much more considering the top slide cuts. But I'll take it as it is. This is a really good looking barrel. I also want to point out that my Rainier Arms sights came with a green fiber optic rod pre-installed, but it also came with a spare yellow and a spare red rod. I took the green rod out and installed the yellow to better match the gold barrel. Remember, it's the little details that really set these builds apart. Finally, the last change to this build is the Jagerwerks Battle Ready Optic Shield, or the B.R.O.S. This is something that I ordered long before and it just finally arrived. As you can see, the B.R.O.S is essentially a shield for the SRO and should help a lot to increase the durability of this optic. This product also features a little lip that wraps closer to the bottom of the SRO, and this is supposed to act as a brass deflector to help with those spent shell casings flying at the SRO. I'm kind of skeptical of how effective this will actually be considering how small the lip is, but we'll see after some testing. The B.R.O.S does add some extra bulk to the SRO, but I'll take it. The extra protection is well worth it. And those are all the new upgrades to my Gucci Glock build. Right now in the studio, I can say that I'm largely happy with where this setup is. Everything looks good, but really no point in having a good looking gun if it doesn't function reliably unless you just want an expensive paperweight. I'm going to go shoot this thing as soon as possible and hopefully I'll be able to record that outing for you guys. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you can give it a thumbs up and share it around. Comment down below with any thoughts or questions that you may have. Subscribe for more content like this. If you'd like to further support my work, consider hitting the join button down below to become a YouTube member or become a patron on Patreon. You can also now purchase official merchandise through this YouTube channel, so check that out. Thanks a lot for watching this video and I'll see you guys in the next one.